Jeremy Siegel, finance professor at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School, said inflation could spike to 20% in the next 2 or 3 years due to unprecedented fiscal and monetary stimulus and an explosion of the US money supply. Siegel criticised Fed Chair Jerome Powell for not acting to quell inflation in the near term. Professor Wharton called Powell the most dovish chairman he's ever seen and said that the Fed chair's stance could be a problem down the road. And critics argue that a dovish monetary policy left unchecked could overheat an economy and result in runaway inflation. Blake Christian is a partner at Holthouse, Carlin and Van Trite. First of all, Blake, great to see that you're still alive after a very, very busy time at work.
Yeah, we got an extra month extension on individual returns, but it was still pretty hectic.
That would have brought joy to your heart. I can hear the joy in the voice, in fact. Inflation has jumped to a level not seen since 2008. What were the main reasons for the increase?
Well, most of it's energy costs, somewhat surprising in the U.S., but we have a huge shortage of used cars. And so that spiked about 25%, the used cars, which factors into that inflation mix. And so a lot of people are unloading their used cars. A lot of that has to do with COVID, and all the rental car companies quit buying, obviously, because there was no travel. And so you don't have all of those rental cars, going to other consumers down the road, 2 or 3 years down the road.
Is this a temporary hiccup, or are prices such as fuel expected to go up for quite some time?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had this pipeline problem on the East Coast, so that certainly it has something to do with it. And certain states like California, they have different mixes that they switch over, and they're more costly in the summer. But and people are feeling very good with all the vaccinations about traveling again. So there's this huge surge in people buying gas and things. So I think there's reasons behind it. What people aren't talking about is the regulatory environment that we have here with the Biden administration. Somebody in his administration was kind of euphoric about the pipeline situation, and they commented, well, if everybody had electric cars, this wouldn't be an issue. And so, it kind of back to the, don't let any crisis, go by without capitalizing on it. And so I think the regulatory environment, again, is such that it's going to be more costly to drill for oil, to process it, to put it in your car. So it's not going to be 45% spike that we've had in the last 12 months, but I think we're going to see year over year kind of costs, 10+%, just because this administration doesn't want us using petroleum products.
Interesting, the carbon footprint of electric cars is greater than the normal car. Go figure that. Pretty bizarre, isn't it? But, if you have the electric car for 8 years, no one knows how long they will last, but they might last the 8 years. After the 8 years, they start to pay dividends. So you buy the electric car, wreck the earth, according to the greenies, and then after 8 years, you're going to save it. Does it make sense to you? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, we just had Elon Musk pull, Bitcoin off his list of ways to pay for his Teslas, because, he was getting a lot of pressure from environmental groups that crypto mining was a problem. And my question to Elon, who I have a lot of respect for, is, well, does it bother you that most of your cars get their electricity from coal-fired plants? And maybe he should stop selling his cars until they convert to some cleaner energy. I don't know.
Maybe
I'm
maybe windmills on the top of the car. That'd be great. But they used to have hats. Remember the caps, and you have a little windmill on the top of that. Maybe maybe that could be the way to go. We'll all have our portable windmill sitting on our nonga, and but that'd be fantastic. You would look great, I have to say.
right. I'm all for nuclear.
Well, so where would you put that? Where would you put that?
Yeah, it's a lot of NIMBYs, not in my backyard. People out there, but yeah, I mean, it's still the most efficient, and there hasn't been a new plan, I think, in the U.S. since the 1980s. So I think it's time.
I think the greenies, including Biden, would like to put the nuclear plant somewhere where the sun don't shine. Now, where is the expectation of where energy prices are headed?
You know, a lot of the big investment houses and business publications, they're all saying right now, oh, it's all temporary, and the Biden administration is saying, oh, this spike is all temporary. Yellen kind of got caught in, I think on May 4th saying, oh yeah, we might have to increase interest rates because we're seeing this inflation. She had to walk that back. But I think I think we're in a very inflationary period. Reminds me a lot of the Carter years, and I think we're seeing a huge blip right now. But the trend is definitely up, and I think we're going to see it for the next few years.
If you see a 20% spike in inflation, I mean, a house that was 100,000 will be 120. In fact, it'll be even more, because if you allow then for the raw materials, the labour and so forth, building that house, that will even add more. So you could probably quite comfortably see a house price rise by 20 to 40%, I would think, because you've got all the other bits added to it. Even with a 20% inflation hike, that's when you're competing with Venezuela. I mean, who do you think will win, Venezuela or the US under Comrade Biden?
A race to the bottom, yeah. I mean, out here in Park City, in the last 18 months, we've seen the square footage build cost increase by about 25%, and it's not a pretty sight.
What about the effect of inflation on other aspects of the economy, such as asset values, wages, and so on?
Well, yeah, I mean, wages, is going to be the real problem. There's this push to a $15 minimum wage across the country. That's going to drive up costs, and you're not getting any additional productivity out of it. And that's the troubling part to the economy, is if you're just raising prices but not getting any productivity out of it, it's a real downward spiral. And the other thing is, even the moderate inflation rates that are being predicted for 2021 and 2022, in the 1.8, 2.2 range, those are still quite a bit more than what they're predicting in Europe. And we all know that it's a very international economy, and people are going to go and manufacture or have services done in the lower cost jurisdictions, and also with the tax increases that Biden is threatening. And so it doesn't bode that well for the U.S. economy, I think, with the inflationary trend, the regulatory trend, the tax policies, all of those coming together, and compared to other industrialized countries, people have choices all over the world where they're going to do business, and the U.S. is not going to be their first choice. The way things are shaping up. Interesting,
the COVID. Thank you to the lab in Wuhan. Did a lovely job of releasing that. But fabulous seeing the rest of the world scurrying, trying to stay afloat, pouring out money left, right and centre, keeping people at home, lock them down, feed them, they'll be okay. Slowly coming back. Business wasn't travelling all that great in some parts of the world anyway prior to COVID, but coming back, things just looking like they're going to start to come to a head. Europe, you can't keep giving money out. You know, look at the US, you can't keep just giving money out without it coming back to bite you. One country that is still doing particularly well, the manufacturer of COVID itself, was China, and they're doing pretty well indeed. So it's ironical that we have the West, Europe, other countries still going through this pandemic, trying to keep the economy going, paying out their citizens, keeping them alive, which is what you can do. But at the end of the day, if you throw all this money out, it has to come back and really bite you on the backside, doesn't it, Blake?
Absolutely. And, you know, I actually feel bad that I don't have my mask on. There's so much confusion over here whether we should be masked or not, whether we've been, you know, taking the jab or not. So it's really kind of comical when you go into the stores and some people are wearing masks, some aren't, and people are giving nasty looks to both groups. You know, it's you can't win these days. It's a mess. It
is a mess. The old mask. I mean, look at Joe Biden. First of all, wore it on his ear, then wore it, and then doesn't wear it, and then wears it. So a great message there. The ear was fine. Never got COVID. He was apparently quite safe because he wore his mask, never got COVID. Now he takes it off, he doesn't get COVID. Where does it end? I mean, I have my mask, but I normally wear it at night. No one knows me then, and goes to my lace stockings and stilettos. So it's a pretty good, and the whip. Maybe that'll keep COVID away. I know it keeps everybody else away. Look, if somebody wants to find out more about tax or, you know, my dress issues, how do they do that?
Okay, our website is hcvt.com, and you can also Google Blake Christian CPA, and my contact information and articles will be on that.
And just before we go, last time we did which was some time ago, before you started to relax and enjoy the extension in tax returns, I mean, your favourite time of the year, apparently. Out of 5, the economy at the moment for the US?
You know, actually, it is booming right now because, I mean, people are getting out, they're starting to travel. You can't even book hotels these days. It's so I would say that it's a very positive trend, but, you know, you have to balance it with the inflationary pressure and this massive $28 trillion, you know, debt load that we have right at the moment, which is going to keep going up. It's, you know, that's the worrisome part of our economy.
A couple of years' time, we'll soon know, you know, how bad the bite on our backside was, because, you know, again, 20% is a whopping increase, and it does compare quite favourably to Venezuela. And finally, I have to ask you, I mean, the president has been slipping. Out of 10, though, last time I think he was below the 5 mark. Out of 10, how would you rate President Biden's performance so far?
Okay, I'm gonna the mask issue. I'm gonna give him a 1. For overall, I think last week I gave him last time I gave him a 2.5. I'm gonna give him a 3 because. You know, he's kind of cut out the lockdown and given everybody a little more freedom. Although a lot of states, the very liberal states, are still, you know, not full lockdown, but they haven't released their prisoners yet.
Prisoners, I like that. That's in Washington. Actually, that's across the states. You must stay inside. Depends though if it's a red or a blue state, what your liberties are. And some are still just hunkering down with those masks. Now, I think the MIT said the mask wasn't all that effective. In fact, it probably prolonged the coronavirus pandemic because it didn't allow herd immunity. But, you know, if I say that, which, by the way, this is not on YouTube because YouTube don't like us anymore. But if I do say that masks are a waste of time, I'm sure to get some poisoned pen letters. Blake Christian, thanks very much for putting up with my rant and my dress description at night. Talk to you next week.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.